Today we reach the final chapter in the Alan Grant saga. The far future, he enlists the help of Morpheus to deal with the homunculi from the 8th dimension. Who's brave enough to review a movie like this?
I am.
Me too. And we are...
I'm Alan.
Then Sentinels of the Solar System.
It's the final entry in the ship's log.
I want to say,
When I think back on all the crap I learned in high school, it's a wonder I can think at all. And my lack of education has...
Hello, and here we are. We're realizing very quickly that I have a thing for Sam Neill. And the movie that we're talking about today is Event Horizon. And I had no idea that so many of the movies that I liked had him in it. To me, as a kid, he was always a bit actor.
Mm-hmm.
And this was his big sci-fi trip. Event Horizon was a film in 1997, and a great cast: Lawrence Fishburne, and that's about it.
Cowboy Curtis.
Cowboy Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-man cast basically with a lot of fillers, but it's a sci-fi film like you've never seen before. It's Dead Space.
Pretty much.
And it's shameless how much Dead Space ripped off this.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say it ripped it off, but you could do worse.
You could do worse.
This is Dead Space was a heck of a game. I think it's probably the best horror game I've ever played.
It got everything right for me, like the mood, the tone, even the level of technology in it. I love Dead Space, so it's no surprise that I love this movie too. It's the first movie that I ever snuck into, and it wasn't even really sneaking into, because we didn't have to go through a fire door. We bought a ticket to another movie, and this was when the big multiplex opened up in town.
Mm-hmm.
And we bought a ticket to something else and just walked into Event Horizon because we could. And I was 14 at the time. That's bringing me back. Like, I don't remember being that young when I saw this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You never really saw it at all. Like, you saw parts of it, or you heard about it through other people, but...
Yeah, you talked it up pretty well, and so there was a lot of build-up going into this movie, and I'd say it's really, really enjoyable. Like, as far as, scary horror movies go, it's enjoyable.
The one thing I like is it's a familiar movie, too. Like, they're not introducing some crazy, like, out-there concepts and visuals. It sticks very close to... if you're used to like the James Cameron version of Aliens and the low tech and very familiar surroundings, it's
I don't know if it's low tech, but it's tough technology. It's
like a utilitarian.
Yeah, you look at some of the designs on this set, and it's a lot like Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
It's leaky panels, thick bulkheads, and
lots of British people.
I think there's only like one or two.
No, there's like three. There was
Really?
Alfred the butler from Gotham.
Right.
There was the blonde girl.
Uh-huh.
There was another British guy, and Sam Neill. I guess he's like New Zealander, but British enough.
Mm-hmm.
He resides in the UK, so that's more than half the cast.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it's a British sci-fi space horror film, which is a niche that I think they own. Like, it's the best of its kind. So.
Yeah, so basically, if you haven't seen it, what it's about is Sam Neill. I don't know I forget his character name.
Dr. Weir.
Dr. Weir. He develops faster than light travel, and they do the standard stuff of you poke the pen through the.
I hate that.
The paper sheet. What's the closest distance between 2 points?
A straight line.
No, it's nothing.
You fold the paper, and. Yeah.
He designs that ship, he builds it, and the ship is called the Event Horizon, and it's...
on its maiden voyage, it disappears.
It's gone, and it's lost for years.
7 years, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It shows up, and, there's no response from the crew, so they send a rescue ship out.
Cowboy Curtis to the rescue.
Yeah, yeehaw. And he brings along Alan Grant, and a bunch of other Brits and a couple other American fellas to go investigate and hopefully salvage this ship because it's important tech. But you know, it's a cool setup. I like it.
Trouble ahead. You know, it's kind of a creepy story. Like I like stories like this where you're going into basically the unknown and you're not really sure what you're gonna get. You know, when these guys show up, they say, well, you know, there's some things that could be living life signs.
Yeah, it's the best when it's right at the start for me. Like that was my most enjoyable part because you start to see exactly the scope of what was going on, and I love when they first see the ship. It's a great shot because you see Venus in the background. It's just swirling storms, and they're dealing with all this stuff just to get to the ship. It's like, man, this is one tough ship. It's been around. And these guys aren't no slouch either. So when they find the ship, they get right down to work, and that's when I think the film gets really enjoyable. The first half of the movie I had the most fun with.
Yeah, and that's not to say it's a lot of what happens to the crew is, you know, psychological in nature. A lot of it is going on in their own head, and it left me with a few questions. Like, is the ship, you know, when it traveled to another
Well, they
universe
said it was
where,
like through dimensions.
Through dimensions. Yeah, it came back and it was basically haunted, and
like almost possessed.
Possessed,
the
and
way
that's-
they referred to it.
That's one of the things. They found some life signs out there, but they never found anything alive.
No.
So, is the ship alive, or is there something on the ship that's alive you just can't see?
Yeah,
or...
some organism we don't understand, or you know, we expect a living organism to be a body. You know, it could be an air, it could be an entity sort of thing. But,
it could be.
you know,
It's just their dumb luck, though, that when they jump through to another dimension, like I said, you know, that they didn't end up in the dimension of infinite pleasures. You know, it had to be hell. You know, it couldn't be any other thing.
I wish we were going to the candy apple dimension.
Yeah.
What do they got there? Hell, but it's not as bad.
No, but it's very much a 90s movie, you know. And I don't want to say that as a bad thing, but, you know, in the forms of entertainment we were exposed to in that time, there was a lot of demons. You know, hell was kind of a fairly hot topic. You had things like Doom and Quake.
Yeah, I mean,
video games.
across media, it was the big thing. Even at the time, musically, you had like Marilyn Manson. You had a lot of people that it was one side versus the other. The Christians versus the I guess hell people. I don't know the other term right off the top.
Demons.
The demons or evil, basically. Let's just sum it up like that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a cute idea for a movie, and they explored it about as fully as you could in a 2-hour film. You know, I wouldn't really call this a horror movie. It's really more of just a dark sci-fi action movie. But that being said, I really enjoyed it. There's a reason why it stuck with me all these years. I hadn't seen this for probably 10 years now.
Really?
8-10 years. So when something hangs with you like that, there's some good visuals and a very easy to tell story. Yeah, it'll hang with you, and it's going to stick around with me longer because I'm giving it 2 thumbs up for me. I love this movie.
Well, the critics didn't love it, though. It did
Very poorly.
fairly poorly, and right now I don't necessarily see why. I mean, what were they upset about? The science of the movie, or was it the effects, or the
it was
story?
what it was stacked up against. And the people that reviewed the movie initially were making obvious comparisons to Aliens. Then, you know, Hellraiser. It says on the entry that it's compared to the Black Hole, Solaris, 2001: A Space Odyssey. And those are tough acts to follow. And to be compared to that when it's not what it aimed to be, I think is unfair.
Well, yeah, in a way, you know, it's kind of its own thing. It happens to be set in space. I don't really see a whole lot of comparison to 2001.
It's just a space movie. Like
Yeah.
that's the only thing that it's close to is it's set in the same area, space.
I think the movie ages very well. Like, this was out in 1997, and it's 2015 right now,
Even the effects hold up.
and I don't know how many years
spectacular.
that would be. No
That's-
one knows.
Trying right now, and I can't even comprehend the numbers. It's got to be what, 15? No, wait, 12 years?
Something like that. But it ages well. Like I think the overall aesthetic appeal of the movie is still there. I think it can exist on its own two legs for some time.
Yeah, I think it also helps itself by not being too techno-babbly.
Yeah.
It doesn't get too deep into the science, like even a lot of the characters in the movie say, enough with the science talk, just give it to me straight. Mm-hmm. And they do a good job at that, and they keep the film moving. It's a very fun movie, and it goes by very quickly for what it is. Mm-hmm. It could be bogged down, but it's not. It's just a fun movie.
And that's another thing is it's basically a story about science, and should science do whatever it can
Just because
because it can, you know, and I think it's a fairly interesting warning, I suppose.
It's a warning. It's a good question to think about. Mm-hmm. But is it horror? No, but it certainly makes you think. And I think that's a good element that sci-fi does. And when you ask the scary questions, you might end up kind of.
You might get some scary answers.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's the good part about it is I liked the honesty of this movie, and it was a genuine attempt at really driving it home and not breaking the mold, but trying to turn a different perspective. And it succeeds in that for me. Mm-hmm. And the acting in it, very good. I got no complaints as far as the production
No,
goes.
I would recommend this movie to anyone looking for something a little scary, set in space, a little science fiction-y.
Yeah. It crosses a lot of borders, and it doesn't stay in one for too long. Mm-hmm. So, like the ship itself, it explores horizons that you would never think to look up before. And, by and large, a lot of films that try that fail. This one doesn't. I don't understand the negative press. Mm-hmm. So,
Go see it if you can buy it cheap. Definitely worth the money.
Oh, yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to pushing this film into the collection, as well as a few others that we're going to be talking about in the near future. Mm-hmm. So, till then, I hope you stick with us. Watch all the other videos on our channel and have some fun. We're going to be back real soon with another review.
Good night.